iPadOS 14 beta is out. Did Apple improve the transfer speeds with the iPad Pro? Let's find out. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey guys, it's Lance at Max Sound Solutions, and today I'm going to be talking about iPadOS 14 beta number 1. I've got it installed here on my iPad Pro. The only reason I did this was to check out the Files app to see if Apple has fixed the issues that have plagued the Files app. If you've seen some of my other videos on this, I found that if you have a SSD formatted in APFS and you connect it directly to the iPad, that's the way you're going to get the fastest speeds. Basically, a 1 gig file took 3 seconds to put on the iPad and 10 seconds to get off the iPad, which isn't terrible. But if you have like a exFAT SD card and you transfer that 1 gig off the iPad, it will take forever and it might get corrupted. So Apple may or may have not addressed this. So during Apple's recent WWDC, which was virtual, the Files app got no love. They didn't really even talk about it. The only thing they show on the website when you scroll way down to see what the changes are with iPadOS 14 is this little snippet on Files, redesigned sidebar, and APFS encrypted drive support. Let's just get right over to the iPad. I'm going to run tests with different scenarios, put up the times, and we'll see how it performs in iPadOS 14 Beta 1. So in our first test, we're going to do the old 1 gig from the Sandisk Extreme Pro to the iPad, see how long that takes. One thing I noticed right away is drives mount much quicker than they used to. So here I'm transferring the 1 gig file onto the iPad, and it took about 3 to 4 seconds. Okay, so in reverse, we're going to copy the 1 gig file back to the Sandisk. And in iPadOS 13, it took 10 seconds to copy the 1 gig file. So here we go, and it comes in at 4.5 seconds. So that is half the speed that it used to take. It used to always take 10 seconds. So that's a huge improvement. So now I'm going to throw my Inatek hub into the mix, and we'll see how it performs without any external power, just running off the iPad Pro's power. So we're copying it over, USB hub in the mix. And it looks like it's just as fast as connecting the drive directly to the iPad Pro, which is great. Okay, we're going to run the test in the opposite. 1 gig file from the iPad Pro to the Sandisk Extreme Pro via the Inatek USBC hub. And here we go. We're copying it over. And is it the same speed? Okay, so that was a hair slower, but it's still better than 10 seconds. It came in at 6.5 seconds. Every hub is going to perform differently, and you always have to make sure you're using a high bandwidth data cable. So far, iPadOS 14 beta is doing pretty well. There's an improvement on the transfer speeds from the iPad Pro to the Sandisk SSD. I also ran the same exact test with external power to the Inatek hub, and it didn't make a difference. Speeds were the same. So next up, we're going to use the Inatek hub to transfer a 1 gig file off an SDXC card formatted in exFAT to the iPad Pro, and then we're going to do it in reverse and transfer a 1 gig file from the iPad Pro to the SDXC card. And this card is rated at 150 megabytes per second. Here we are transferring it, and obviously it's not going to be as fast as the Extreme Pro SSD. It's got a much slower read speed, but it's still moving along here. There we go, 13 seconds. Okay, now we're going to transfer the 1 gig file back to the SDXC card. And this is where things start to get a little funky. You can see first off that there's no progress circle. And speaking of the progress circle, it seems like Apple has not improved that. It's very wonky. You don't know if your file is halfway done copying, a quarter of the way copying. It's just kind of random. It usually gets to the halfway point and then the file is done copying instead of completing the circle. So they definitely need to work on that. And for some reason here, you don't even see the circle. So I wasn't even sure what was going on. But it took a really long time for this file to copy, so I'm going to speed this up. So we're still waiting. A minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Ouch. So for comparisons, I connected the SDXC card and the Inatek hub to my Mac Pro, and it transferred the file in either direction in 11 seconds. But the iPad Pro took over 3 minutes to transfer a 1 gig file to the SDXC card. Okay, so this is the final test. I took 100 raw images. I'm not going to do the whole video part of this. I'm just going to tell you. I took 100 raw images, 2.5 gigs, from the SDXC card to the iPad Pro. It took 1 minute and 23 seconds, which is pretty good. And I did the same test with the SDXC card to my Mac Pro via the Inatek hub, and that took 1 minute and 4 seconds. So it was faster, but it wasn't ridiculously faster. Then we did it in reverse. I took the 100 images, transferred them from the iPad to the SDXC card, and it took 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And when I did the same thing with the Mac Pro back to the SDXC card, it only took 1 minute and 13 seconds. So very long story short, the iPad Pro does not play nice when transferring files from the iPad to an exFAT formatted SDXC card, and I'm sure that's also the case with an exFAT formatted hard drive. One of my subscribers said that he had the best luck with an HFS Plus formatted hard drive SSD with the iPad Pro and Windows. So if you're using an SSD with your iPad Pro, I would try using HFS Plus and see how that does. And stay away from exFAT format for anything but importing things to the iPad Pro. Don't try copying things to an exFAT formatted SDX card or hard drive, because it will be super slow and you will probably have corruption. And this is really almost the worst of all of them. I want to delete those 100 images off my iPad now, and I'm going to delete the zip file that I created of the 100 images. Now I'm going to go to recently deleted, where you have to go to actually delete it permanently from the iPad. So I go in here, I hit delete. This item will be deleted immediately. Yes, I want to delete it. I do it with the zip file. Yes, I want to delete it. And then, you know what? I just want to get rid of all the stuff that's in the trash. So I'm going to select all, hit delete. Recently deleted items may be permanently deleted by your storage provider. Okay, so everything has been deleted. Now I go back to recently deleted, and guess what? It's all still there. None of it's been deleted. And I can't seem to get it to be deleted. I've tried this several times. Okay, so now I have my iPad plugged into my Mac, and what I was really hoping Apple would do is, aside from having all your app file sharing folders that you can access once you click on files over here, I was hoping they would also have a folder now called On My iPad, which is your root folder on your iPad where you copy files to. But you can't access that. You can only access it on the iPad. So you should move any of those loose files that are in the On My iPad folder to one of these internal folders, app sharing folders. That way you can access the file when you connect your iPad to your computer. So here we are. I copied the movie to my Good Reader folder. And there's the movie. I can now drag that off onto my desktop, which I'm not going to do, or I can actually go in there and delete it. And it's gone. There it goes. Did it actually delete? It did, but oddly it says updating files, copying 1 of 1 Matinee A, which is the file I just deleted. But it is gone, and I checked on the iPad, it is gone there as well. So Apple allows you to create your own folders on the iPad to organize your files. So here I am creating a new folder I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to drag a file into this folder, and then I'm going to plug my iPad into my computer. But where is Rant's files? It doesn't exist. You can't access your own folders when you connect your iPad to your computer. So you have to take that folder on the iPad and move it into one of your app sharing folders to be able to access it. And not only that, once you can access the folder, you can't open it when it's on your Mac. You have to drag it onto your desktop to even see what's inside the folder. There's no little arrow for you to click on to open the folder. You cannot open these folders. So the only way to know what's in there is to either go back to your iPad and see. You can't drag like one file out of that folder. You have to copy the whole folder. So you got to be kind of organized in the way you manage your files with the Files app. It certainly is not Mac-like yet, and there's a lot of room for improvement. And I certainly would not call it Pro. It's not like using a Mac. And Apple trying to sell this thing as a laptop replacement, sorry folks, it ain't there yet. I haven't played around with Big Sur, and I'm not going to be installing the beta of that, so maybe somebody else who has played around with the Files app and Big Sur with the iPad could let us know. Okay, so quick rant. You know, when iPadOS first came out, I was really hoping that it would be more Mac-like, but it's sort of this hybrid between a Mac and an iPad. And I'm especially talking about the Files app here. You know, all the big YouTubers, they raved about the iPad Pro, and they talk about the Pencil, and they talk about all the other stuff, but they seem to avoid talking about the Files app as far as transfer speeds go. Very few, if any, did any sort of speed tests going from a hard drive to the iPad and back like I have done. I actually spent several days on this because I want to get the information correct before I spew it out onto the internet. And most people probably have not made it this far into the video, but I don't really care. For those people who do care, I'm just trying to show you that to me the iPad Pro is not a Pro device yet. It's somewhere in the middle. You know, you can't record to external storage yet. You can't like multi-track audio to external storage. You can't edit video off external storage. And until you can do those things, use external storage like you can with a laptop, it's not going to be a laptop replacer. And it's not going to be a Pro, which Apple likes to call it, device. Okay, so there you have it. It seems that Apple still has work cut out for them. It's still far from perfect. So let's hope that before the final release of iPadOS 14, Apple addresses these issues and they improve the Files app, which to me still needs a lot of work. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next Mac Sound Solutions video.